Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the new normal, running your contact centre remotely. So now just a bit about the sponsors. Enghouse Interactive is part of the publicly listed Enghouse Systems, a globally operating technology business that's headquartered in Toronto. We provide a range of contact centre solutions and integrated application suites, and we're the brand behind many well-known international system solutions. Enghouse acquired New Zealand contact centre software development company Zcom, which may be familiar to you, back in 2012, and that solution, which is now available for Teams, is still developed in Auckland today while sold all around the world. Our cloud contact centre solution is also delivered by many of the world's largest telecom providers under their own brands and in our own name here in Asia Pacific. I'd also like to welcome our long-time partner, CCNNZ, the Customer Contact Network New Zealand, which will be familiar to the New Zealand audience under its former name of CCINZ. CCNNZ is a not-for-profit organisation that's focused on resourcing and assisting people in the contact centre industry. Please check out their website and feel free to subscribe to their monthly newsletter to stay tuned on CCNNZ activities. So our first introduction today is to our moderator, Julie Valencia, who as chair of CCNNZ has brought her knowledge and experience to the table for us. Julie's been with the organisation for 7 years and has held the chair since 2019. Julie's day job is Head of Customer Care at Paymark, so she's doubly qualified to front our webinar today. Thank you, Julie. The first of our two panellists who've kindly agreed to share their experience with us today is Sharon Clements, Contact Centre Team Leader at Cessnock City Council, which is located 2 hours north of Sydney in the scenic Hunter Valley wine region. Encompassing a local government area of 1950 square kilometres, the council services around 57,000 residents in New South Wales' second most visited tourism destination after Sydney. Sharon's been working within the contact centre operations for many years, working as team leader at News Corporation in Sydney for 15 years before moving to her current role late in 2018. Welcome to our webinar, Sharon. Our second panellist today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Our second panellist today is Peter Cook, Head of Customer Service at Lotto New Zealand, which provides safe gaming for New Zealanders to play and win while contributing money back to the New Zealand communities. Peter joined Lotto in 2019 after spending time in customer experience management at ALI Group and AIG. At Lotto, Peter's responsible both for leading the contact centre and for defining the customer service operating model for the organisation, with a key focus on developing and implementing strategies to transform the way that Lotto takes care of its customers. Welcome, Peter, and thank you all for joining us today. And I'll now hand you over to Julie Valencia, our moderator.
Thanks, Barbara. Hi, everyone, and welcome again to today's webinar, The New Normal, Running Your Contact Center Remotely. Our format for today will be to run through a set of questions with our panelists and just ask them in turn to answer and share their experiences. We'll start with a bit of background from each on their before environments before we talk about the now. We hope you'll see some new perspectives on working remotely, as well as perhaps reinforcing some of your own experiences. And we also hope you learn about different challenges that could help you in the future, along with the strategies to cope with them. So now let's start off with the beginning. Let's start with Peter. Peter, what did your contact center look like pre-COVID-19? This could be in terms of your office environment, your team numbers, calls, media channels handled, typical types of inquiry, and your objectives.
Sure, thanks, Julie, and hi everybody out there.
Yeah, very different world pre-COVID-19, as I'm sure it is for everybody on the call. Lotto previously distributed our products and services across both the retail network across New Zealand, across stores like supermarkets, dairies, convenience stores, etc. And we also had a digital presence as well, but the mix of that was about 75% of business through our retail network, 25% through our digital channel. So our contact center was really set up as a supporting contact center for the digital channel. Obviously, with COVID kicking in, that shifted to 100% of all our business, so that changed our world quite significantly. But we were a very small contact center, tucked away in the corner of the office. We had roughly 10 to 12 full-time agents, and we handled roughly 12,000 calls and emails a month, which did fluctuate at times due to the high jackpot runs that we would sometimes experience. And during the lockdown, obviously those volumes have increased significantly, up into the numbers around the 60,000 calls a month and about 5,000 emails and 25,000 live chats. So an incredibly significant increase in volume coming through. The channels pre-lockdown were purely voice and email, and the types of inquiries related to the My Lotto customer account queries, how to play, how to register, and general account queries. In terms of the targets and goals, like any call center, we had our standard service level 80-20 target and a sub 5% abandonment rate. But the key one for us too was around ensuring our players were enabled to be able to play our games and purchase our products online when they wanted. So yeah, the pre-COVID environment was pretty normal, pretty standard contact center environment.
Fantastic. Now let's hear from Sharon. How about you over there in Australia?
Thanks for inviting me to join. And it does seem like such a long time ago before COVID-19. A lot's changed in such a short space of time. So our office environment, so the areas in our customer relations team, we have two areas, one being the counter for the council administration, and then the other adjoining room, our contact centre. Our room was newly renovated in 2018. It has 6 workstations, 1 team leader desk being myself, a well accommodated room with acoustic panelling, a contained area within the council administration building separated from the rest of council to minimise noise to customers. It's a fairly compact but modern space with good technology in place. The team structure, our team unit has 13 FTE, including 2 team leaders, and we also have a business unit manager. Normally our contact centre would have 6 team members on the phones most days. What the calls look like, the contact centre takes around 60,000 calls a year. Normally prior to COVID-19 we took around 220 calls a day on average, but now the calls are sitting around 330. Our average handling time prior to COVID-19 was around 3 minutes and 23 seconds, and our service level was around 73%. We have an experienced multi-skilled team across both areas. However, prior to COVID-19, we did have several new team members that were still training and gaining knowledge. The media channels that we look after, phone, email, post, online, the types of inquiry, council inquiries such as payments, development, ranger, rates, other listed on our IVR queues. Development and rates would be our highest volume of call areas. The objectives that we normally have at council, our contact centre's prime objective is to assist with the queries of council customers, interact and complete their requests, resolve issues, and overall to enhance our customer experience through positive engagement. So through COVID-19, to maintain quality customer service for council, we needed to initiate remote operation fairly quickly due to the contained area that the contact centre operates from.
Great, fantastic. So as mentioned by Barbara, we were conducting some polls, and I would encourage the contact center people to please enter the poll so we know, so we can share the results. So the first one is, did you have a useful business continuity plan in place? for the contact center before the coronavirus happened. So the options are yes, and it helped a lot, or we had a plan, but it didn't really help much. And the last one is no, we didn't have a plan. So please tick on the one you think reflects your contact center, and we'll show the results in a few seconds. There you go. So we have here that 49% said yes, and it helped a lot. So it was really good to have a BCP, as that's our industry term for it. And we have 27% who had a plan but didn't really help. And 24% said no, we didn't have a plan at all. Thanks for joining our poll. So let's move on. Now we'll talk about that transition. So let's start this time with Sharon. And how did the actual transition go for you, Sharon? How long did it take? As mentioned, did you have a BCP, and how useful was it? And what were the challenges and resolutions that you did?
So myself, I was actually in Auckland visiting family, returning on the 16th of March to self-isolate for 2 weeks. So we staged integration to remote. So I was the first to work remotely and to test the system's operation. Over the next 2 weeks, we gradually transitioned the team to remote operation, every few days moving a team member to remote. We did have a plan for remote operation for the team. Recently, we've had bushfires locally along with substantial storms. So we'd consulted with IT, exploring both moving the site completely to another facility and also the alternative of working remotely from home. We knew that we had the systems in place, however, we had yet to do full testing for remote operation. So we had to adapt. The plan was definitely needed to be adjusted to the current COVID-19 situation. So the challenges that we faced with moving was team reassurance, the uncertainty of the team, how we would work remotely, team family changes, so support for the family environment, changing with the closure of schools. We rostered the team, offering leave and flexible hours, keeping in mind the coverage for the contact centre. This also supported the stage transition. Equipment, setting up the team to work remote required consultation and planning, distribution of equipment needed, and working with the team's home systems as well. A staged transition, this worked for us. It allowed for each person to have assistance with the setup whilst the balance of the team supported. IT and testing, working closely with IT, we tested operation and function, communicating and updating management. Licenses and remote access. The challenges were user access to the remote server. Initially, we only had 3 network licenses for the contact centre, not enough to support the call volumes that were increasing with COVID-19. We had 8 touchpoint licenses, however, we needed more as we moved the counter team to the phones to support the increased demand. Security licenses for remote working and remote use of systems and working remote policies needed to be completed also by all staff. The internet, another challenge. Local connection can be unreliable at times. So the resolutions to these, we consulted IT to request more remote server licenses. They accommodated. Rostered the team around the licenses that we both had for Touchpoint and on the remote server. Good systems. We knew we had the systems. We just needed to adapt to get the most out of the features within the system, such as Enghouse, to support remote transition. Ordering more licenses. We ordered another 2 Touchpoint licenses, taking our team to 10 licenses. Internet, the team communicated any connection issues where we could work around, such as supporting people to work from in other locations. ensuring coverage if someone was experiencing internet access issues, and tasks to accommodate. Supportive management team, we have a great business unit manager, Roslyn, and supportive management team above at our council that supported us throughout the transition period. Team reassurance, team communication to ensure that the team were comfortable with the changes that were made, and coaching and training. We used Enghouse remote listening, Skype, share screen to train and coach the team, but I also buddied team members remotely. So these were the main challenges and resolutions we faced.
Fantastic. Sounds so organized, and it sounds easy, but I'm sure it was a lot of hard work. How about you, Peter, for NZ Lotto?
Yeah, thanks. And very similar to Sharon, there was a lot of activity that went on as part of the transition. But for us, it really was a bit of a mad rush at the end, obviously, to get this all in place ahead of the lockdown. We didn't have in our BCP any provision for the contact centre to work at home. The only remote alternate physical sites we had were for a very small number of agents. So it was a sort of just keep the lights on only kind of approach. So we had to engage our own transition plan and quickly kick into gear the things we needed. The challenges were quite similar to Sharon's. You know, we had a small tech team to support us. We had challenges around agents' individual home PC setup and connectivity. We had an on-premise solution that didn't allow for easy access for remote working. So we had to find some resolution pretty quickly to those challenges, which we did, working with our team, but also with our partners to deploy the solutions we needed. So moving from an on-premise solution to the Enghouse CX Cloud was critical for us. And then implementing our remote desktop connectivity for agents so they could access our core on-site gaming systems from home. So yeah, it was a pretty fast transition, all sort of done in about 4 or 5 days. So yeah, it seems like a long time ago now, as Sharon said.
That's great. And yes, well, I noticed that, you know, you spoke about the challenges and resolutions. So probably good to reflect on what were or are still the biggest challenges about operating remotely, and how are you addressing these? So let's start off with Sharon. So you can talk about it from a management, business, customer service perspective, and what tools and strategies helped.
Okay, so from a management perspective, encouraging up-to-date communication between the team, management and internal divisions, trying to ensure that the team felt supported and comfortable during the transition to remote. OH&S, setting up the team to make sure that they were in a safe working environment remotely. And it's also very easy to work more hours from home, so you really need to ensure to balance separate home from work. So take your breaks and log off by a certain time. From a business perspective, remote operation occurred, but changes were ongoing. So changes from divisions within council impacted and increased demand on customer service, such as the closure of the waste department. This increased the calls to the contact centre and our average handling time. We also had other divisional team changes that flowed on to impact the contact centre. From a customer service perspective, we wanted to ensure that the community remained supported during COVID-19 and that we'd be able to support them even though our face-to-face operation was no longer operational. Keeping the team up to date with changing needs of customers, such as supplying them with alternate waste vouchers. Also teamwork, working on your own can be lonely, and we wanted to ensure that we didn't lose our sense of team, so ensuring the team maintain a professional working environment at home. Tools and strategies that helped us, well, having a quality phone system and other systems in place such as Enghouse. So we requested support and ideas. So for example, having Enghouse support, we introduced callback during COVID-19. This also further supported the contact centre in high volume call periods. Skype and instant messaging allow the team to support each other via live messaging to have their questions answered. And we are also introducing live web chat with InchHouse this week within our council website. So this will also give our customers another method of support from council. Video meeting each day. We try to maintain team interaction with a team brief video link every morning before our phones switch over to assist with communication and support. We do this. Breaks are rostered and emailed to the team each morning. Team support divisional changes have meant that we've opened the contact centre a few weekends to support divisions with their changes. So this has ensured order in resuming operations such as taking bookings for waste to support the community with the reopening of the waste facility. Communication, building good communication for the team so they're well informed, reporting on the changing needs for the contact centre, knowing where the increase of calls relate to, and touching base. I try to call every individual team member regularly one-on-one. So these were our home challenges and strategies in place.
Thanks a lot, Sharon. Yeah, quite a lot of home challenges. How about you, Peter? I'm sure very similar.
Yeah, very similar. I guess for me personally, as a manager, the biggest challenge for me was around how to actually lead a team remotely, totally remotely, as opposed to having only a few people remote and the rest in the office. I'm very much a wander around sort of leader, sit on the corner of the desk and talk about how we can overcome challenges and issues and what's going well, and that became a real challenge for me. So having to learn how to do that was a big challenge. And I guess the other thing was just building those connecting and engagement strategies and cycles with the team to make sure that they're feeling connected. So that was a key for me. From a business perspective, our business shifted overnight to a 100% digital business. And the challenges that brought to the business were quite significant because in order to cope with that, we had to ramp up significantly the resources we had available to support customers in that digital journey, in particular the onboarding of new customers to the digital platform. So that presented a really significant challenge. From a customer point of view, was really the need for us to be responsive to all those customer interactions to ensure that they were able to get the information they needed, give the support to them that they needed to be able to become a digital customer and still play our games and buy our products. The various tools that we used were predominantly around using the tools available for communicating with our teams, particularly Slack, MS Teams, regular check-ins. Our strategy for customers was very much a 100% answer rate approach. So we had that as a strategy that we then needed to support. But yeah, very similar to Sharon. So much around the challenge of keeping our teams engaged, keeping them connected, helping them feel part of the team, and really focusing on that as a priority.
Fantastic. So from our challenges, we can now focus on the benefits. So what are the biggest benefits you're finding now about operating remotely from a management, business, and customer service perspective? Let's start with you, Peter.
Sure. I guess the most interesting benefit from a management perspective was that the engagement of the team and the productivity was significantly increased. And one of the other flow-on benefits really from a manager was we had virtually no absenteeism. So actually managing a team of people, managing resources that were basically on the queue and available all the time was quite unique and a really amazing benefit. The other one from a leadership point of view was just more thinking time, being able to take the time to think about how to tackle problems, how to strategize, how to plan ahead was a real benefit for me personally. Just from a business point of view, it's allowed us to actually upscale and burst up our capacity to cope with the increasing customer demand. So it's also forced us to accelerate the implementation of tools and systems we needed to be able to do that, whether it was remote learning for our teams, remote training, but also working with our partners to improve the technology that we had available. And our customer, the benefit for our customer was that actually we're able to put more people on to the queue, easier for us to burst up, so we could manage those customer inquiries even when volumes were 10 times the normal daily volume. We were still able to achieve up in the high 90s answer rate consistently, really ensuring customers could be supported.
Great, and I can tell you that my husband is now part of the My Lotto digital. He's now a digital customer of yours. So how about you, Sharon? What are the main benefits that you've seen about operating remotely?
Yeah, well, I can also relate to much of what Peter's just said, so very similar to Peter. From a management perspective, personally, I found I can concentrate at home on tasks better with less interruptions. The team contact me when they have a critical issue, however, they tend to try and find a solution first. From a business perspective, virtually no unplanned leave, very similar to Peter, and productivity is up. Tasks are being completed without interruption. Our service levels are good, and we're functioning well with divisions to support them through their changes, so that's good. Customer service perspective, they've encountered minimal disruption to operation. Sound can be an issue in a contact centre when we're on calls. Although acoustically tested our contact centre, we don't have a noise issue working remotely. And focus on working with a confined contact centre can be quite distracting. Now we can allocate tasks such as our inbox with electronic work to one person to focus on, completing a task without disruption.
Great. So I'm sure we want to know more about the teams. So how was your contact center team affected? For example, their day-to-day and overall, their mental health, stress, productivity. What do you think were the biggest changes for your teams? So let's start with Sharon this time.
Mm-hmm. Initially through the transition, there were some issues that we needed to solve, but we're at a point now where the team's working effectively. So with the mental health, we try to keep our days fun. So being a small team, we are happy and supportive of each other. So we've come up with some fun things to lighten the days. So normally my team's in a full corporate uniform. So we're now operating remote, so we could have a pajama day, so a PJ working day. Some have worn wigs in our team video meetings. Pets sometimes play a part in our team meetings before work. I guess they've been the big winners, having company at home also. Birthdays, we celebrate the wins, and we make sure to thank the team for their support. We're encouraging and ensuring that the team take their breaks and roster time off, because that's really important. The things that they like about working from home: convenience, balance with their family, no commute to work is a big one. The things that they don't like about working from home is the team's social interaction, being together as a team. So the internet slowness and connection times. Answers to queries can be a little delayed, so waiting for a person to message or referring to a procedure. So in the office, they could just discuss and request face-to-face support.
Okay, yeah, I can really relate to that. It does, they enjoy working, but yeah, there really are also positives about working from the office. How about you, Peter?
Yeah, very similar to Sharon, really. From a day-to-day point of view, the team was, I guess, far more productive. The changes for them were around the fact that they were occupying the queue more regularly, but they generally cope really well. They have regular teams or house party connect-ups as a team. I do a regular quiz with the team via one of our chat channels, and they get the prizes carried out to them. So really day to day and overall they've been pretty positive and kept really good spirits going. From a mental health and well-being point of view, generally, we haven't had too many people that have been in individual isolation. Most people have been in a bubble with other people, but even those that have been on their own, we've had really, really high productivity. Absenteeism and sick leave's been almost zero. In fact, I think it has been zero. That's an indicator that people are coping very well. The positive side, of course, well, living in Auckland, as anybody who lives in Auckland knows, the commuting of 20 meters from your bedroom to the office is preferable to a 1.5 hour trip stuck in traffic. More time with family has definitely been an area that people have enjoyed, and we're available. The flexibility of shifts has also been really well received. The negatives are largely around that lack of social and people interaction, and that lack of that sort of office culture. And not all of the team had the ideal setup at home. We were rushed, so we had such short notice to implement this that not everybody was able to have the perfect setup. So there's been a bit of frustration there. But overall, I think the team have responded incredibly well to the challenges and done an amazing job in helping our customers.
Thanks a lot for that, Peter. So to the audience, especially our contact center audience, we have another question, poll question, and this time it's to understand the effects of the coronavirus on APAC contact centers in particular. So whether you've just changed your operation temporarily to suit your changed environment, or whether you think you may implement those changes long term, how much has your day-to-day operation changed since the lockdown happened? So you have there quite a lot, somewhat, or hardly at all. So we'll have our results in a few seconds once you've chosen your, there you go. And so we have here that quite a lot is 47% of you, and a little bit, somewhat, and hardly at all is 11. So a lot of you really feel that there has been a change to your day-to-day contact center. Great. Thanks for that. So now let's go on to talk about the customers. So Peter, how are you finding that customers are affected by, say, what's happening in the world, by the way you operate now, and any positive or negative impacts?
Sure. I guess the most noticeable thing for us is the amount of time, obviously, that people have to be online. So one of the things that's clearly impacted is the traffic to websites, our sites in particular, and their pattern of buying behaviour and shopping behaviour that's changed quite significantly. So just by being in lockdown, it really has been noticeable that customers have adapted and adopted different patterns of behaviour in that space. Just on that, one of the things we've noticed too is that a lot of the customer interactions we have are not just about our products and services. Certainly in the initial stages of the lockdown, some of our agents would be assisting customers on the phone with actually helping them to understand how to use a browser, how to set up their Sky TV, and various other sort of technology challenges that a lot of people in isolation with no other people in their bubble had no other way of getting support for. So there was a lot more going on as a result of what's happening in the world than just the continuation of our services and products being accessed. In terms of how we operate now, definitely we're getting significant feedback from customers about the ease of which they're able to go online and play our games, both Lotto, family games, and Instant Kiwi online games via the digital platform. And also the fact that they're now able to get through and get their calls answered and have their chats responded to much faster than before. So there's been a real increase in response times, and our customer sat has gone through the roof, which is fantastic. So that's probably leads into the positives as well. The satisfaction and feedback from customers has been amazing. And I think the other thing is that the huge increase in online traffic has also been really, really positive. On the negative side, I guess if you're a customer and you suddenly have a choice removed for you in terms of what you can do and where you can buy, that's obviously been a bit of a negative. Customers haven't been able to buy our products at the supermarket when they go shopping, so that can be frustrating for customers. But by and large, the negativity has been very low.
Great. And you, Sharon, anything about your customers that you've noticed?
Yeah, so social interaction. So I put this down to the human factor of being isolated and wanting to discuss how they're feeling. So this has increased the demand on the contact centre team. Not only have our calls have increased over 30%, but the community is also wanting to spend more time on the phone. And as a result, our average handling time has increased from 3 minutes and 23 seconds to over 5 minutes each call. From the way we operate now, so technology, similar to what Peter said, customer education. So we try to work around the best we can to support customers that maybe don't have technology at home. For example, to support and complete forms online for customers. The team are always looking for solutions to support them. Positive impacts. More licenses. We now have 10 touchpoint licenses to support customers. More features with callback, live web chat being initiated this week. Customers have more options and convenience on how they would like to contact council. The negative impacts, face-to-face interaction. Customers have missed being able to visit council, with facility closures that can result in negative calls to council on the impact to customers. Understanding, they don't understand the reason for the closures. Customers question when services will return to normal, and the team need to reassure and explain. Frustration, differences in closures between different councils can be questioned also. So they're the main areas.
Okay, yeah. So overall, what do you feel, though, has been the impact of working remotely on the customer experience that your organization delivers? Let's start with you, Sharon.
Well, I believe that good customer service is being there for your customers. However, great customer service is being there when your customers need you the most. And I think COVID-19 has been such a time. Our team has supported the community over the last 12 months, from drought, bushfires to COVID-19. Positive, so the customers have been positive and appreciate that we've been able to continue council operation throughout COVID-19. Our service levels are now good, and part of the process has been educating the community on ways to interact with council. I think this will flow on into the future. For example, where customers would have come into council prior to COVID-19, they may now have the confidence to go online to seek assistance. So on the most part, the community have been understanding to the COVID-19 situation.
I think, yeah, it's very similar here. How about you, Peter?
Yeah, I guess one of the impacts on our business has been the need to be proactive about positioning ourselves to answer those customer inquiries and be there when they need us. So what remote working's helped us do is to actually burst up and go from a 10 or 12 seat centre to at times on high draw days to 150 to 200 agents. And remote working has enabled us to do that really quickly. It's obviously been made easier by the fact that people are stuck in their house and they haven't got anywhere to go. So if there's work offered, they're there. But that's been really positive and meant that we're able to respond to the customer needs and be prepared and positioned to answer all their queries and get them online and get them playing. We've also, as a result of that, lifted our service levels every day. Our commitment to our customers was to answer 100% of all customer interactions. And also it's helped us to accelerate the implementation of some new channels. So prior to lockdown, we didn't have a web chat service, and we fast-tracked that in order to provide our customers with an improved experience across that channel option, which has been incredibly successful, and the feedback's incredible, as well as the take-up, to the point where chat's now doing 1,000 chats a day on top of the calls that we receive. So overall, we believe, and the customers are telling us from the feedback and the SAT surveys, that the experience they're getting has been improved throughout this lockdown, and working remotely has been a key contributor to that.
Wow, really good stuff then. So if we think about the lessons learned, what are the things you feel you've learned from the last 2 months about yourself as a manager, about your team, the customers, and any big surprise? Let's start with Sharon.
As a manager, communication has been key. So seeking advice and collaborating, taking each day one day at a time, and don't try to plan too far ahead. Initiate and reassess and adjust the operation where needed. Adapt to change and listen and learn. With the team, you're only as good as the team that are working with you. My team are all fantastic, truly resilient, inspiring, hardworking, and caring of their community. They're always great at finding solutions together, and they support each other. So that's great. Our customers, they expect quality service, even more so in times of need, and they often lean on us to provide reassurance and guidance. So we need to be well equipped and confident to support customers through change. Be adaptive to their needs with changing situations, like the waste depot, where the team opened the contact centre to work the weekend to accommodate. The biggest surprise, we would have never envisaged that working totally remote for a prolonged period. The team have remained engaged, positive and focused, and I'm very proud of my team, but not surprised for the amazing service and support they've given the community.
Wow, thanks for sharing those lessons. How about you, Peter? Anything to add?
Yeah, pretty similar to Sharon. I think certainly as a manager, the importance of communication, keeping everyone informed, has been a real learning for me. I think the other thing too that I've learned is that in a situation like this, where we were presented with challenges that were bigger than we'd seen before, asking for help from peers and other people in the business, and accepting their help as well when needed, has been another key learning as well. We're not on our own. We don't have to do everything by ourselves, and it was a real lesson for me that we're one team and we work really well together. In terms of my team, I already knew they were awesome, but wow, how awesome have they been over this period? I mean, the challenge thrown at them has sometimes been at 4 o'clock on a Friday, we need to do this by tomorrow, and they just grab it and run with it and make it work. And remote working hasn't phased them at all, prevented them from being outstanding at finding solutions. From a customer point of view, what I've learned about customers is how quickly they adapt and engage in the new environment, and realize that that is what they've got ahead of them, and they'll embrace it and jump into it. From a digital point of view, I think we've had to realize that more of our new customers in particular have needed assistance with onboarding and being able to access and play the games, and there's been a lot more assistance provided in the call. And as Sharon indicated earlier, you know, some of the AHT has stretched out a bit, but it's been for the benefit of that customer experience. So that's been positive. And probably the biggest surprise, and I said it earlier about how awesome my team is, but how well the team have taken to the challenge to create a new way of working, how they've lifted the challenge and supported our goal of achieving 100% answer rate, and that's been reflected in the customer feedback. But I shouldn't really be surprised by that, because they're an incredible team, but I was probably even more surprised by how well they've taken up that challenge.
Fantastic. I'm sure your teams are really proud as well. So any recommendations? So if you were to tell your younger self, what would you recommend? Something that you would, you know, now you know, but you wish you had known before March 2020. Is there anything you'd want to tell them? So let's start with you, Peter.
Yeah, I think if I look back, I'd encourage myself to be more prepared to change just the way I think and feel about remote working. I saw it as being more of a, well, if some staff would like to work from home and we can make it work, let's do it. But gosh, we still need to all be in an office. So I would challenge that thinking and challenge myself to be more open to the flexible, and really in reflection, the old way of doing things just are not doable anymore, and we'll probably never go back to that. The other thing I'd tell myself is, look, this is what it is. We've just got to get on with it. We've got to do what's necessary and do what is right during this period for our customers and our people. And I think I'd definitely just take that let's get on with it kind of attitude. One other piece of kind of advice I'd give is, and that's one of the learnings I've had over this period, is the biggest learning for me has been around engagement, both engagement with your people and your teams and your peers and others in the business through the remote working, but also with your customers, and just seeing that every opportunity to engage with your people and your customers is another way to enhance both of their experiences. So yeah, that'd be sort of my recommendation.
Thanks a lot. And you, Sharon?
Yeah, so it's important to plan, but it's something I would tell myself is it's also equally important to test ahead of an event occurring. So think of the systems you have in place currently, how would they work and what features or solutions could support you. So as far as anything to assist anybody, well, communication and engagement is really important. So seek guidance from your system providers such as Enghouse. They have the features and solutions to support. Plan, but also be prepared for the unexpected, and then readjust your strategy. Consult your management team. My direct manager, Rosalind, all the management team have been instrumental in our team's successful transition to working remote. So they'd be the main things, I think.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And so our last one probably to reflect on would be the future. So we're hearing so many reports about organizations changing the way they work as a result of what has happened. So what changes do you think you and your organization may make for your contact center for the future? Let's start with you, Sharon.
So remote operation was really viewed by us as a temporary operation solution, but with the success, I see our team being able, along with office operation, to continue to function remotely in some capacity. The team have enjoyed the flexibility of working from home remotely, but they've missed the face-to-face team interaction. So I guess a positive to take away is that remote, I feel, is here to stay in some capacity.
Great. And for Peter?
Yeah, absolutely agree with Sharon. I think we had definitely considered it as being almost a no-go zone. We hadn't set our systems and technology up to even enable it, and through the challenge of the lockdown and COVID-19 period, we've had to throw those previous attitudes off. I see it being absolutely part of our future. I think we're appropriate for our people. It will be available, but more than that, it'll be also about how we develop the tools and systems to work with both a work from home workforce, people in the office, but also our partnerships with other outsourced providers that we may engage going forward with as well. So yeah, some quite big changes, and absolutely we'll be embedding those changes going forward.
Well said. So to our audience, we have one more poll question, and this is our last one. So we'd like to show some stats on how our own regional contact center folk feel about this question. So are you likely to operate remotely in the future? We know that many decisions may still be on hold, but this is just an indicator. So if you could choose from those options, where yes, we're considering working remotely on a permanent basis, Some of the team may continue to work remotely. We hope to roster in regular remote working in future. We may do it in future for disaster recovery planning, or no, definitely not. So once we have the results in, I can show you. There we go. So the biggest one is actually we have a tie. Some of the team may continue to work remotely, and we hope to roster in regular remote working in future. That's followed closely by, yes, we are considering working remotely on a permanent basis, and we may do it in future. If I were also part of taking this, answering this, I would have chosen we hope to roster in regular remote working in future. So that ends our poll. Thank you so much. So thanks so much, Peter and Sharon, for some excellent insights to remote working. We've now come to the end of the interview segment, and it's time for our Q&A segment. So I'll hand you back to our facilitator, Barbara.
Thank you, Julie. Hi, everyone. Thanks again, Julie, Peter, and Sharon. We've just got one last job for you, answering our audience questions. Thank you. And just a reminder to attendees, there's still time to put a couple of questions through. Please send these through via the chat panel in your webinar application. So we've had a couple come in during the session already, and please keep firing them through. We've just got a few minutes left. The first one is, and I'm going to ask Peter this one for a start. Would you recommend other organisations to go to regular remote working? We could infer some of your answers from your responses before, but if you would, why would you, and or why not?
Yeah, sure. I think I'd recommend, where appropriate and where it's suited your business and your people's needs, I think it's absolutely something to consider. Certainly the why has been proven through the lockdown period for us, which is around the significant improvement in productivity, the absenteeism component, which has just been incredible to see. But also the general staff engagement has been really high. So I guess I think if it suits your business and it suits your people, and you've got the systems and technology to facilitate it, why not?
Thank you, Peter. Sharon, anything to add on that one?
No, I agree. I agree with what Peter said. Yeah.
Okay, and then here's another one from the audience. What sort of media interactions, i.e. phone, email, web chat, have increased during the lockdown period from your customers, and were you ready to handle them? And if not, what did you have to do to get things going? So I think, Sharon, you answered that before with your comments about adding callback in, and you're planning to incorporate web chat. Any other comment on that one?
I think the change will be permanent in some respect as well, because the customers have had some education on different ways of communicating and connecting, and I think that will follow on into the future now. So they now know how they can support themselves online, whereas they may have in previous times come into council to access forms or complete face-to-face. So I think the change with customers will be permanent. And as to how much of that carries on, I guess we'll know as the situation develops. So definitely the features that we've added to our contact centre are going to support that ongoing into the future. That's where I sort of see it.
Okay, thank you. And Peter, anything to add on that one?
Pretty similar, really. I mean, we've implemented a whole new channel, being the chat channel, and without any sort of real basis of forecasting or volume projections. I think we turned it on the first day. We got 500, and that was for an afternoon, and then the next day after that 1,000. So we've enabled customers to have alternative channels of choice, and that's brought with it increased volumes, and we've had to manage that and resource it, but we've also had to improve our training and our systems. So yeah, we're now operating in a far more omni-channel environment, and that will continue and be optimized going forward for sure.
Okay, so we have a question. Somebody's just on the topic of web chat for both of you. It's too early for Sharon, of course, but can I ask, you mentioned that you introduced live chat since COVID-19. Was that easy to do? And that would be for Peter.
Incredibly easy when you gather the right people and throw the challenge out. We were effectively able to partner with a provider and have a chat solution up and running in a week. So this would normally take anywhere from 3 to 6 months for an organisation like us to go through the various processes. But yeah, it was a very quick process. We were aided by the fact that we were able to engage directly. We didn't have to go through an RFP process through what was a crisis time. But the actual implementation and the liaison between us and the provider went very well, and we were able to deploy very, very quickly. So in our experience, a week to turn around and put in place a whole new channel is unheard of, and we can look back and say it happened and we did it.
Thank you for that. And we've also got a question here. Does the panel expect that the ability to work from home will be part of your recruitment plans for the future? Sharon?
I think definitely yes. We will probably look at implementing that within our recruitment process, because it's obviously working for us. Those channels are working, and they're now part of our future. So yeah, we'll definitely include them when we're looking to recruit new people, if they do have those the history and experience behind them. It definitely will be a positive for them.
And thank you, Sharon. And for each of you, what was the biggest technical pain? I mean, we did talk about the challenges before. Name the sort of, for each of you, the largest technical pain and transition when shifting to work from home?
Oh gosh, again, whatever we came up against, we seem to be able to overcome with a combination of working with our partners. Certainly the partnership with Enghouse and setting us up in the CX Cloud platform, and that could have been a major issue for us and a big stumbling block. But again, with great collaboration and partnership, we were able to overcome that really quickly. So whilst we had looked at it previously and thought it was going to be too big a challenge, it proved not to be, and we made it work. So. Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon.
Probably the biggest technical challenge we had was internet connection remotely. So myself included, I'm on a farm in the Hunter Valley, so it can be quite patchy at times. So we sort of had to put things in place to support the team to facilitate that and assist them with that. So we have sort of worked through that, but that was, especially in the first couple of weeks, it was quite challenging.
Right, yes. So we've had a few questions from attendees asking what systems you are both on. If you could share that information, please. Peter? I think you mentioned before you're on.
Yeah, so we use the Enghouse Interactive Contact Centre, and moving to the CX Cloud platform was really, really critical for us to be able to expand our work from home workforce. And yeah, without their support, we would have struggled, particularly to be able to burst up to the 150 people that we need on the queue at our peak times. I guess the other thing that we use, less of a system, more of a partnership, is that we do use an outsourced partner here in New Zealand for helping to answer a significant number of our calls, particularly on those high jackpot and draw day Wednesdays and Saturdays, where we can go from 1,000 calls to 5,000 calls quite quickly. So yeah, that's kind of what we use.
Thank you. And Sharon?
Yeah, we use Enghouse, so we have touch points for our phone system. The council also, for our task system, we have Authority, so that's our task system within council. Our record management system, we use a system called Trim, and then we use Skype that works through Enghouse as well with the phone system. So the whole of council is using Skype. And we use Instant Messenger a lot to interact with the team remotely. And we do have a website as well, a brand new website as well, so that we're sort of interacting between those. But we do have other third-party sites, so the planning portal, the team obviously are connecting in and out of, so customers now lodge their development applications online through that portal. But the main systems that we use within Cessnock City Council would be Enghouse, Authority and Trim, and we're very happy with our Enghouse product. It's supported us totally 100% through remote transition. So we looked at Enghouse to give us ideas and support, and as Peter said, we've also, our live web chat will go live this week, so we're hoping we'll have the same positive outcome. But we did install the option of callback, and that's really helped us with the small team coping with those volumes of calls that come in, especially in the morning. The team were finding it hard. So now, after about a minute, the IVR plays a message to offer the customer a callback to keep their place in the queue. And as a result of just that one option being added through COVID-19, our service levels went back up well over 80%. So just one feature and option can make all the difference. So, but they're the systems that we're using.
Okay, thank you very much. And just to clarify, so Sharon and Peter are both on two different Enghouse contact centre solutions. One is in the cloud, and the other is an on-premises solution with Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Skype for Business, and of course Teams will be an option in the future with that. All right. I think we've come to the end of our questions. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank Sharon and Julie and Peter one more time for spending your time with us and talking about your experiences. And thanks, of course, also to our audience who've made the time to attend today's session. We hope you found it valuable. Please fill out our exit surveys you leave, and we'd love to hear from you if anyone has any feedback at all on the webinar or any other ideas that they'd like to see us present events on. If we haven't got to all of your questions, we'll certainly follow up with you personally afterwards. We look forward to going into more depth with anyone interested in getting in touch, and we'll send an email out with the link to the recording and some resources after this. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Julie, Sharon and Peter, for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.